talk about having a healthier relationship with our triggers. Well, let's talk about what a trigger is first. A trigger is usually something in the present day that happens that triggers something from our past and kind of makes our brain go into this place that we think that we're back in that past situation. So we're playing out something today in our current life that's triggering something from our past. And what usually happens is we have a whole physiological response to it, right? It brings up maybe fear, panic, humiliation. It brings up these feelings from the past that we actually feel in our body in that moment as if we were back there. And it's usually some sense of your heart might be racing. You might feel like tingling in your arms. You might get sweaty and clammy. You might feel urgency. You have to do something right now. And it's usually what causes us to do things like lash out at people, get angry. We like kind of run away, we retreat, we get really quiet. We don't feel like we can say anything. We might become kind of paralyzed or frozen. We might start going into giving advice, or we might start going into doing things like trying to smooth things over, trying to solve the problem. These are often strategies that we learned as children that were really effective. So the problem is that so often we end up shaming people for having these coping mechanisms that they use and for being triggered, when what's really called for is almost like an appreciation, right? Because when you get triggered, it's really an opportunity for you to go back and heal from your past. The problem that most of us have is that we believe that we are a victim of our triggers. Like, we believe that there's no solution. Like, I get triggered and I'm out of control, and then I act like a crazy person, and then I feel regret later, and that's it. But that's not true. Triggers are opportunities for us. Triggers are the actual invitation to do the healing, so that eventually we don't get triggered anymore, or we get triggered way less, or we're much more aware of our triggers, and we have the ability to have the presence of mind to be able to choose something different in the moment. The trigger in of itself is just helping us to find more of ourselves, to go back and kind of like finish up the unfinished business from our childhood, to heal whatever's inside of ourselves. So you do not have to be stuck in that. And I want to just tell you a funny story about me and my husband. Is that we got to this point in our life, and you might not really appreciate this, but where we would thank each other for triggering each other. Because honestly, I don't know how we would have found those inner parts of ourselves that needed healing if we hadn't. So there's a path forward. So let's look at triggers as opportunities for healing instead.